What's up, you guys? My name is Sleep Tart, and welcome back to some more bedtime stories. If you like bedtime stories, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe for more videos. Without further ado, let's get right into this. Tonight's story is called 3 Days. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Henry. He went to school like any other ordinary kid. He had friends like any other ordinary kid. His closest friend was named Josh, and they were very interested in paranormal studies and posted their videos and findings and encounters on YouTube. Lately, their YouTube channel has been dwindling and flopping, so they decided to make a new video.
I wanna eat your dick.
Their attempts were not so good lately, and their channel started to die out. So they decided to take extreme measures. They ended up researching some haunted places in the area, and they stumbled upon a mental asylum. They heard a lot of scary folklore about people doing satanic rituals there, and the people in that insane asylum being brutally murdered a long time ago. So, Henry and Josh decided to take a trip down to the mental asylum. Once they pulled up to the mental asylum, it was at least 2 a.m. And to make it even scarier, they decided it would be cool to speak to the spirits with a Ouija board. When they entered the asylum, there was a loud thud that came from the hallway far away. So, like the idiots they are, they took out their camera and they decided to go to the area that had the loud thud. Most people would run away. I don't know why the hell they would do it, but they went to it. They walked up to the room and there was nothing there. But all of a sudden, there was a weird silence around them, almost as if the world had stopped. So they realized maybe there's a ghost presence there, so they took out the Ouija board in hopes to make a good video and get that YouTube coin, that YouTube money, that money hoe. So Henry put down the Ouija board on a floor, and they sat down and began the session. Is there any spirits that would like to communicate? Hello? Is there any spirits that would like to communicate? The planchette of the Ouija board spun out of control, and the board spelled out H-A-T-E. Hate what? The board spelled out Y-O-U. Henry, scared and Josh shitting his pants, proceeded to ask what was the spirit's name. The spirit took over the planchette and spelled the name Dimitri. And all of a sudden, almost out of nowhere, there was a strong wind, and the board levitated and broke. When the board broke, something seemed to have happened to Henry, because immediately after, Henry started to develop a strange cough. Josh, barely able to move, ran like hell, and Henry right after. And they never turned back. Later that night, Josh uploaded the video on YouTube, and they made a lot of YouTube views. The next day, at school, Josh and Henry met up to talk about last night. But for some reason, Henry was acting strange. He had looked like he hadn't had any sleep. There was black rings around his eyes, as if he was like sleep deprived for months. But Josh shrugged it off and didn't feel like going into detail or asking any more questions to Henry. And the day went on fairly normal until lunchtime. Henry and Josh sat together at lunchtime, as they always do. Now, Henry and Josh aren't the most popular kids in school, so they were made fun of. But there was one kid by the name of Ben that really made fun of them, almost like he was their bully. Henry and Josh were sitting at the table just eating their lunch like any other regular day, and Ben, the asshole, came up to them and knocked down Henry's lunch. Fucking nerd. Now, usually, Henry would be a scared little pussy ass bitch and not say anything back and just literally ignore it. But today was different. Henry somehow got up with some type of anger and rage in his eyes, almost as if someone had hit a light switch in him that made him all of a sudden become a badass. And he picked up the bully with ease, like he had some type of super strength. Now, mind you, Ben is about 6 feet tall and probably weighs 180 pounds. But he picked him up like he was picking up a fucking pillow. He picked up Ben and threw him to the ground. Everyone in the cafeteria heard it, and they started huddling around like kids do when they hear a fight. Fight, 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 fight. Henry bashed Ben's head into the ground over and 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 over. So much that the kids that were huddled around started to kind of freak out. They started to try to pull Henry off of Ben, but they couldn't even do it. So they ended up calling a teacher, and the teacher somehow pried Henry off Ben. And when Henry got off of Ben, we actually saw Ben's face. Ben's face was beaten like an old, rotten tomato. If the teacher hadn't come when he did, then Henry would have killed Ben. Ben was escorted out of the school to a hospital, and Henry was expelled from school, as he should be. At home, Henry's parents heard about the news and spoke to Ben. They were so appalled at what he had done, they didn't know what to do, so they just sent him to his room and talked about it to each other. I don't know what has gotten into Henry. Why would he do such a thing?
I don't know. Maybe he's been playing those video games. I heard that Grand Theft Auto game is so bad for kids, they influence them to do some crazy ass shit.
Yeah, you might be right, honey. But I think this is something else. Something malevolent.
You really think so, honey?
I know so. I think that boy is possessed. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with him.
Oh well, I don't really know what else to say about the situation. So you want to go have sex?
Okay, sweetie.
The next day, John decided to stop by Henry's house to speak with Henry and see how he was doing. Henry? Hey Josh, how you doing? Hey Henry, how are you? I'm not doing so well, man. What's wrong? I don't know. Ever since we went to that asylum, I haven't been feeling right in the head. Right in the head? What do you mean by that? I've been having these thoughts, man. About hurting people. Henry started to cry, and Josh hugged Henry. It seemed like the moment was okay, and it seemed like Henry was actually very sad. They sat there hugging. When all of a sudden, it was like someone flipped a switch, and Henry just went crazy like a fucking chimpanzee and threw Josh across the room. Josh struggled to get back up and try to run out, but Henry grabbed Josh and threw Josh's face to the floor, almost like he did Ben, and started to bash his face in with his fists. Right beside where Josh was laying getting beat up, there was a lamp. So Josh tried to get the lamp in attempts to get Henry off of him. But as he tried to reach for the lamp, Henry took the lamp and used it to beat Josh's face in. Henry just started hitting Josh in the face with the lamp and beating him over and over and over and over and over and over. Josh started screaming for help. But no one heard him. Apparently, Henry's parents were too busy fucking. Before the light went out of Josh's eyes, he looked up into Henry, and he didn't see Henry. It was actually a dark, demonic figure in replacement of Henry beating him. When he squinted his eyes to try to get a better view, it flipped right back to Henry, and Henry smiled back as if he knew what had happened, and he started laughing as he beated Josh to a pulp. That night, Henry killed Josh. Later that night, Henry woke up covered in Joshua's blood and realizing what he had done. Henry traced around his room countlessly over and over, thinking about what he had done. He heard voices in his head swirling around, suicidal thoughts and very evil thoughts. Henry battled with those thoughts all night long. Then he somehow fell asleep in Josh's pool of blood. Henry couldn't think straight anymore. He had voices running throughout his head. He started to go crazy. He didn't know what was real and what was fake. He didn't know where he was, and he didn't know who he was. Something had taken over his body that night at that mental asylum, and he struggled to get gripped. But it seemed like he was so far gone. There was no hope. Henry then decided to go outside for some fresh air, hoping that would ease his mind. As Henry was walking downstairs, he thought about all the things he had done, and he started to have a lot of regret. Henry passed by the kitchen, and as he passed by, he felt some type of force take control of him. The force led him to his kitchen cupboard. It forced him to pick up a knife. He picked up the knife, and the knife's reflection didn't show his reflection. It showed a face of someone he never seen before, verifying that he'd been fully possessed. Henry then lost control of his body and went upstairs and murdered his family, including his cute little doggy, Mr. Furball. When the police got there, they found Henry on the floor crying at what he had done. The cops apprehended him and locked him in a mental asylum, and he was never, ever the same. The end. Hope you guys enjoyed that story. If you did, give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And have a great night, guys. And see you guys in the next bedtime story. Goodbye.